With mounting civilian casualties in Eastern Ghouta in Syria, the United States has accused Russia of targeting citizens in the country. In the strongest condemnation yet of Russian involvement in the civil war, a White House statement said, and I quote, "After repeatedly delaying the passage of United Nations Security Council resolution which demanded a 30-day cessation of hostilities across Syria, Russia has gone on to ignore its terms and to kill innocent civilians under the false auspices of counter-terrorism." Now, this is the same combination of lies and indiscriminate force that Russia and the Syrian regime used to isolate and destroy Aleppo in 2016, where thousands of civilians were killed, end quote. Meanwhile, Syria's President Bashar al-Assad has said that operations in Ghouta will continue. The Syrian government forces have regained control over a major town and a number of villages in Eastern Ghouta.
لا يوجد أي تعارض بين الهدنة وبين الأعمال القتالية. فالتقدم الذي تم تحقيقه أمس وأول أمس في الغوطة من قبل الجيش العربي السوري تم في ظل هذه الهدنة. أن نستمر بالعملية بالتوازي مع فتح المجال للمدنيين للخروج إلى مناطق الدولة.
The Syrian military is trying to recapture the rebel-held region which lies next to the capital, Damascus. And the rebels in the region have been there for 6 years. They're now succumbing to the Syrian military's siege along with heavy bombardment. The result? Eastern Ghouta is home to nearly 400,000 people, and they are not just losing their homes but also their loved ones. All right, joining me live from Moscow is WION's very own Dan Ashby. Good evening, Dan. It's a humanitarian catastrophe, isn't it, in Syria?
Well, yes, that's certainly not the way the Moscow or the Kremlin sees it. You have these robust statements coming out of the US, but here in Russia, equally robust statements and counter-accusations, denial coming back. Officials today telling state news agencies that there are a saturation of lies in the media, distortion of reality. So Russia simply does not accept what the UN and what the US is saying. It says that not civilians being bombed in Eastern Ghouta, but rather terrorists, and that outside of the truce hours, which it says it's observing, it is only helping the Assad forces to bomb those terrorists, which it says is best both for security and for Syria. So you really have two very different positions, two different pictures of Syria being juxtaposed by world powers today.
Also, Dan, what are you picking up about the ceasefire? Is it actually holding at all on the ground in Eastern Ghouta as we speak?
Well, you get this very mixed picture again, and the thing about this war is it's also the war of words and the war of betrayal of the war. So on the one hand, you have the US and the UN and people within the UN simply saying, look, no one's observing this truce. Okay, there's a nominal 5-hour truce every day, but in actual reality, Eastern Ghouta is being bombed. More than 600 people have been killed. This is an area with more than 400,000 residents, and it's a humanitarian catastrophe, as you say, with aid convoys arriving, as some UN officials say, but without the medical equipment that people need actually getting into the area. Then you have a completely different picture coming out of Russia. They're saying that they have this 5-hour truce. You read state news agencies and they say, look, we've got convoys going in, delivering humanitarian aid that people need, and all of this is spin. So it's very difficult to get the true picture, but there's certainly enough concern coming out on social media, through the Syrian rights observatories and through the UN, that people are worried about civilian deaths.
Also, very quickly, Dan, we are given to understand that France's foreign minister is in Iran today, and reports suggest that he will like Iran to lean on the Syrian government to end the hostilities in Eastern Ghouta in particular. But that said, how is Russia viewing all of this, especially given the delicate balance of power turning in the region, especially within Syria, given Russia is ranged along with Iran and Syria on the one hand against US and its Western allies on the other hand?
Yeah, well, Russia all along says that it has Syria's best interests at heart. It says its plan for Syria, along with obviously the Syrian government, is to respect Syrian territorial integrity. It says it doesn't want foreign powers ending up in Syria in the long run. But when you look at the situation today, it's hard to fathom how they're going to get to that. I mean, you have Iran, accusations that Iran's in Syria, obviously Israel taking action, Turkey taking action. So Russia really has a long way to go to deliver on its promise to build a free and peaceful and stable Syria.
All right, on that note, Dan Ashby in Moscow, thank you.